Windmill Valley from Board and Dice. 1 to 4 players, 14 up, 45 to 90 minutes. Back up here to see your designer. Let's get this flipped over and spun around. And then now there's your artist. In the late 19th century, it's the late 19th century, and there are over 9,000 windmills in the Netherlands. Some of them primarily built to dry the lowlands, called polders. Between the windmills there are fields filled with colorful tulips, a flower that was once part of the turbulent history of the first financial bubble, now a quintessential part of the Dutch landscape, especially on the famous Bloemenroute, flower route. So there's your rotating your wheels, all of your setup, your board, your game components. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. Alrighty, so first thing we have is the solo mode. Not going to go through that. Let's go through the rule book. Here's your game components, assembling the windmill boards. So when you first get them. Also, if you notice here, it says black tulips, and there's a historical note that it is impossible to breed a truly black tulip. Here's the game setup. Playing the game, your turn structure, floodgate adjustments, water level, blah 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 blah. I'll go over all of that after we see what's all inside. Your various different actions. And then your appendix, because there is a ton of iconography in this game. There's that. There's some more. And then on the back is some more artwork. So I'm not necessarily going to open up every single bag and show you every single little bit, because there's a lot of things. But like here, so you can see there's tulips. I believe there's 39 of each color. So you have white, red. They call these black. They're like a deep purple, yellow, and lilac. Here are your build tokens. You have 1s, and then somewhere hidden in here are your 5s. There's your 5s. Here are your enhancement tiles. Let's throw those aside. I'll get those laid out. Here is each player color. So I have a build token in there because each person starts with a build token. So you have your windmills. You have 2 small discs, 3 big discs, and a 100 and 200 score token. In yellow, in dark blue, in red, and in light blue. Here are X tokens. These are used to cover parts on the board. Here's more enhancement tiles. I want to show you the board first because the board is fairly massive. Here are neutral tokens. You use 3 in a 2-player, 2 in a 3-player, and 1 in a 4-player, and then you have the tokens for the flood levels. You have farm enhancement cards and other cards. This is all the solo bits. Here is your player aid and a bar to cover for a 1 to 2 player game and a 3-player game on the calendar. Oh my goodness, apparently I forgot to take out enhancements from last time we played. So now I have enhancements all over my box. I'm going to have to correct that. Here we go. Alright, so first thing we have is we have 4 of these windmill boards. They'll start this way, you rotate them to get actions, and really they're just fun to spin. So you have your 4 of those. You have your player board that's got the plots on it for where you're going to put your tulips, double layered. You got 4 of those. Alrighty, so now let me kind of make as much room as possible for the board, because it is a 6-fold board and it is quite massive. There we go. So here is that board. We're looking at it upside down. Here's your calendar rack. Your score track goes around it for enhancements, for those farm enhancements, foreign trade. There's that water or the floodgate, your water level. Here's where you're going to be putting all of your windmills, and it's got all the tulip fields. This is the market where you're going to be doing stuff. So that's the board. Give me 1 second to get these cards and those tiles laid out. Alright, let's start with the enhancement tiles. I will say I do have the promo ones in here, which is mainly for the silver and the lighter colored wood. But for most of these there are 2, especially for the basic ones. And for quite a few of these intermediate medium ones there are as well. So there's your enhancement tiles. Here are your starting enhancements that you'll be grabbing at the beginning. And then on the back of each one, they have a Queen's Wish that is going to become a goal that you're going to be trying to accomplish throughout the game. Here's the foreign trade card. You'll be putting tulips between these to activate those abilities or get that stuff. And then here are those farm enhancement cards. They have a dual purpose. If you put it with the top part, it triggers when something happens. The bottom part is an end game scoring condition. So there are the tiles and the cards. Let's get in on how to play this one. Alright, we are set up for a 2-player game of Windmill Valley. I have my player boards on the actual main board just because I don't have enough camera room to show you the boards off of the board, but you'll still be able to get a good general idea. So to set it up, you are going to have your common, uncommon, and unique enhancements set up on the board. The rest are off to the side. You are going to grab some X tokens. I just have a small little assortment right there. You're going to put the bar based on your player count. So if you're a 1 to 2 player, if you are a 3 player, it goes like such. And if a 4 player, you just don't have it on there. We're 1 and 2, so we're going to go like that. You're going to shuffle up the farm enhancements, deal out 3. You're going to shuffle up the foreign trade cards and put them in this spot here. You have your floodgate marker, you have your water level, you have the 3 neutral markers. These get placed in reverse turn order. I just placed them out here for now. Each person gets a windmill board and their little patch board, a build token, their windmills. The first player starts with a white tulip, and it's a different color based along player count. You're going to put one of your small discs on your gilders based on where you are starting player. I'm a first player, so it's on the 4. And again, you have one on the calendar, one up on the 0 the score marker. These you can leave set aside by you, or I put them up here. These are in case you actually get the Queen's Wish satisfied. I have all my tulips off to the side, separated by color. And that is about it. We are then going to deal out 3 of these starting enhancements, or technically it's 1 per player plus 1. So in this instance, being a 2-player, we have 3. And then in reverse turn order, everyone's going to select one. And I will say, you know what, I'm going to select this one, which means every time I build a windmill, I get a point at a gilder. And then this would just go to the top of my board in my enhancement. Say my other player grabs that one. This then becomes the Queen's Wish, which comes up here. And then anytime during your turn, if you fulfill that, you will take your disc and put it to the leftmost spot that's available, getting those points. And then everyone place their discs in the market. And again, I have already done such. So the turn structure is going to go like this. First, you're going to see if you want to adjust the floodgate at all. Once you adjust the floodgate, you are going to move the water level. You are then going to move your wheel a number of spaces equal to the floodgate level, and then you're going to choose one of the 2 actions that are depicted on there to do, unless you have an enhancement tile that has a plus, and then you'll be doing both actions. Alright, so a bit more detail in each of those actions. First, if you are going to open the floodgates, you spend the depicted amount of money and get the points. If you want to go up 1, you spend 1, you're going to get 1 point. If you want to go up both levels, it costs you 3, and you get 4 points. If it's there at the beginning of your turn, you only have to spend 2 to go up there, but you do not get any of the points. Alternatively, if you want to lower it, you can just lower it as much as you want. The floodgate can only go in one direction each turn, so it can't be here, have you lower it, and then spend 1 to push it back up. So once you've decided where it's going to be, so say I spend the gilder, got the point, and now it is at this level, I would then move the water token 1 spot, and then we come over and I'd be moving my wheel 2 spaces unless I use build tokens. Build tokens allow you to increase or decrease the amount that you move your wheel. You always have to move at least 1, and you can never move more than 4, and that is all depicted down here at the bottom of your wheel board. But let's say we move 2, so we go 1, 2. You basically move from red gear to red gear. I now have 2 options to do a build a windmill action or lower the water level action. And then once I've completed my action, it'll be my opponent's turn. Let me go over what each action does individually. I'm just going to kind of rotate this here. I'll start here at the top. If you build a windmill, you are going to find a spot that you are allowed to build to, and the spot you're allowed to build to is any spot that can be traced back to the market in an uninterrupted line of windmills, whether your color or someone else's. So at the beginning of the game, you really have only these various spots that are free that you can build at. But for the sake of demonstration, I have already built a windmill there. My options now are again the free spaces, or I can build on anywhere that I can trace a path to. I will then spend the amount of gilder, so we'll say 2. You can grab it from anywhere on your board, and we'll say that I put my windmill there. You're then going to trace your way back to the market. If you go through any other color windmills, that player gets 1 point per windmill you go through. So if this was my opponent's color, they would have gotten 1 point. You then are going to trigger, in your choice, the fields that you are adjacent to. So in this instance, I would get a white tulip, I would plant, and I would get an enhancement tile. That is building a windmill. And actually, of course, because I built the windmill, because of my power up here, I would get a point and a gilder. So it would basically be point and gilder. Next, you have the farm enhancement. When you get a farm enhancement, you can choose any card in this display and put it on your board in one of 2 ways. Before you take a card, you can spend a gilder to wipe the board and deal out 3 new ones. When you take a card, you have 2 options. You can put it on top of your board, which will unlock a special ability. In this instance now, whenever I do foreign trade, I get 2 points, and I get 1 point for putting them there. Or you can stick it to the bottom of your board like such, which unlocks an end of game scoring. Let me kind of push that up a little bit. Like such, which unlocks an end of game scoring condition that you will be able to do. Next up is getting an enhancement tile. So you have common, uncommon, and unique. Again, before you take one, you can spend a gilder to refresh the market, discard them all, and replenish them. When you get one, these 2 are free. This costs 1, this costs 2. And when you grab the tile, you can put it in any space on your wheel except for the areas that are active. So I would not be able to put it in either one of these areas. I could, however, plop it in that area there. But we'll say we grabbed this one. Next up is foreign trade. When you do a foreign trade, you're going to look at this card here. If there are no tulips on it, you'll be able to take a tulip from your supply, place it between 2 actions, and do those 2 actions. So if I put it here, that would allow me to grab a farm enhancement card and would give me 3 points. If there are tulips already on here, then you have 2 options. You can do the put a tulip on there and take the 2 actions, or you can take all the tulips on there and bring them back to your supply. Once there are 4 tulips on the card, you will discard those tulips to the supply. You'll then rotate the card like such, and now you have a new foreign trade card. You have plant. Planting takes place on this board, and at this time I'll explain your little supply area down here for your tulips. When you put your tulips in here, you fill left to right. If you want to put a tulip on this spot, it costs you 1 gilder. On this spot, it costs you 2. At any time when you are full or don't want to or can't spend that money, you can instead swap out tulips without paying a cost. So when you plant, you are going to grab whatever plant you want, your bulb you want. In this instance, we can do whichever. In the markets, you'll see they have specific colors by them. That means to plant those specific colors. And this is due this action with 2 bulbs. It is not do the action twice. So for actions that trigger, like if you plant something, you would only trigger the action once because you're doing the plant action only once, but you're doing it with 2 bulbs. So you grab your bulb and you can put it in any row in the leftmost spot. So I could even start it there. And then if I filled in here, I would grab another build token, or you would do whatever else is underneath where you just build, which ranges from getting an enhancement tile, a farm enhancement, money, or points, or even more of the planting action. Next up, we have the market action. So in this instance, it is spend 2 gilder, and then you are going to do 2 market actions. I'm going to give myself just a little bit more money for an example. So you're going to move in the market twice. Before you move, you can spend 1 gilder to move one of the neutral discs, one spot clockwise or counterclockwise. However, it must then land in an area you are going to visit this turn. So that means with me starting here, and I know I'm going to move 1 and 2, I cannot move this one back to here because I'm not going to be landing there this turn. So we'll say I spend 1, and we are going to push this one up to here. Actually, no, we are going to push this one here. So now I do 2 movements. My first movement is here. It is filled, and I have 2 options. I can instead jump over here to do that one instead, or I can pay my opponent 1 gilder to land on top of their piece. When you land into an area, you are going to choose one of the 3 actions, and you're going to do that specific action as many times as there are discs. However, in this instance, even though there's 4 discs, I'm still going to do it a max of 3 times, because in essence, we are covering each other, so it is still only 1 and not 2 there. So going backwards, so say I move this disc instead, I come here. So now I can choose a white bulb, red bulb, or to plant the black bulbs, and then I would do that action 3 times. So say I chose red, I would simply grab 3 red bulbs and put them down here in my supply box. I would then move again, and doing one of these 3 actions 3 times, for there are 3 markers there. The next one I'm going to go over is lowering the water. So if the water level was, say, there, when you choose to instead lower the water level, you will first look to see what section it's in. You will get your choice of the reward. So in this instance, 1 gilder or 1 point. You will then lower it by the amount there of 1 and 2. So that is all the different actions. When you are taking your actions and this red gear arm reaches or passes that red arrow, you are going to move forward 1 spot on the calendar. You are then going to be able to take whatever bonus is listed there and whatever the top bonus is. So in this instance, I would gain 3 gilder. I would then take one of the X tokens and cover that up, and then when my opponent gets here, they'd be taking the 2. The game end is triggered once one person has moved on to the last day. You are then going to finish out the current round, and you are then going to do 1 final turn. You're going to be collecting points throughout the game, and then end game scoring is going to be 3 different things in relation to your tulips. You are going to look to see which windmill sections you have emptied, and you'll get so many points for that specific bulb color. So it goes white, yellow, red, lilac, and black. So in this instance, I would get 2 points for every red. If those 3 were there, that'd be 2, 4, and 6 points. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to look in your patches, and you are going to score points for those. You're going to look down each column, and if you have 2 of the same color in the columns, you're going to lose the depicted points up top. However, if you have 4 different colors, you're going to get the positive points on top. When you look at your rows, you are going to look across. If you have all 7 filled and they are of the same color, you're going to get the higher value points. If you're just filled with 7 but they're not all the same color, you get the lower valued points. You'll then also score points for your bottom contract cards. Most points wins, and there is a list of tiebreakers that basically relate to like how many tulips you might have left, how many windmills, so forth and so on, but those are in the rulebook that you can discover on your own. So that is how you play Windmill Valley. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you on the next one. And I also hope that you will go down and like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell for this channel, for this video, etc. Bye.